You open your eyes, and for a fraction of a second, the day has no shape. Then the alarm sounds, or the light hits the blinds, and the weight of the script drops into place. You know exactly how the next 16 hours will unfold. The commute, the screen, the conversations that feel entirely pre-recorded, the exhaustion that settles in your bones by evening. It feels like a repetitive cycle, an endless loop where Tuesday is indistinguishable from Thursday, and the months blur into a single long gray line. We often call this feeling boredom, or burnout, or just the reality of getting older. But that diagnosis is too shallow for the ache it produces. What you are experiencing is not merely a lack of entertainment. It is the heavy, suffocating sensation of sleepwalking through your own existence. You are moving through the rooms of your life, touching the objects, speaking to the people, but you are not entirely there, the ghost in the machine of your own routine. Look at the architecture of our days. We have engineered our lives for maximum frictionlessness. We want the coffee at the same time, the commute on the same route, the paycheck on the same schedule. We crave predictability because the alternative is chaos. But in building these perfectly predictable structures, we have constructed cages out of our own habits. We trade the raw, unpredictable texture of being alive for the anesthetic of knowing exactly what will happen next. This is the core tension between predictability and presence. To be truly present requires a vulnerability to the unknown. It means stepping into a moment without a script. But modern life demands the script. It demands efficiency, and efficiency requires habitual looping. We put ourselves on autopilot so we can survive the sheer volume of tasks, demands, and noise. We avoid the uncertainty of the present moment by hiding within the very routine we claim to hate. Listen to the quiet in the room right now. Beneath the hum of the refrigerator, beneath the distant sound of traffic, there is a profound stillness that does not care about your schedule. It is simply waiting. It asks nothing of your output. It only asks for your attention. Thousands of years ago, the Greeks told the myth of Sisyphus, a man condemned by the gods to push a massive boulder up a steep hill only to watch it roll back down to the bottom every single time he neared the peak. He was forced to begin again, forever. For generations we have viewed this story as the ultimate tragedy, the pure definition of a meaningless, repetitive cycle. A punishment designed to break the human spirit through the sheer futility of the task. But look closer at the man at the bottom of the hill. The tragedy of Sisyphus is not the boulder. It is the assumption that the pushing is empty. When we look at our own lives, we see the boulder. We see the laundry that never ends, the inbox that refills, the meals that must be cooked and cleaned and cooked again. We feel the crushing weight of repetition and decide that because it repeats, it must be devoid of meaning. The mistake we make is believing that meaning only exists in the novel, the extraordinary, or the new. We wait for the vacation, the promotion, the sudden break in the routine to finally feel alive. But life is not lived in the breaks. It is lived in the pushing of the boulder. The trap is not the repetition itself. The trap is the numbness we bring to the repetition. When you drag yourself out of bed and stumble through the morning motions without seeing the light in the kitchen, you are suffering from habitual looping. You are trying to get the task over with so you can get to the real life waiting on the other side. But there is no other side. The kitchen, the light, the water running over your hands, that is the life. we must begin distinguishing between the trap of habitual looping and the potential for ritualized presence. On the surface, they look exactly the same. A person drinking tea while staring at a wall in a state of deep anxiety looks identical to a person drinking tea while anchored deeply in the present moment. The physical actions are identical. The internal reality is worlds apart. Mindless repetition drains you. It is a mechanism of escape. You scroll, you chew, you walk, all while your mind is miles away, chewing on regrets from yesterday or anxieties about tomorrow. But a sacred ritual is a mechanism of return. It uses the very same repetitive action to anchor you to the earth. The rhythm of the habit becomes a drumbeat that calls you back to your own body. Feel the weight of your own hands. Notice the way the air moves in and out of your lungs, a rhythm you have maintained since the day you were born, a repetitive cycle, a continuous loop, and yet this breath is the only thing keeping you alive. The ancient philosophy of Stoic fate teaches us to embrace the reality of our circumstances rather than fighting a phantom war against them. The love of one's fate is not a passive surrender to a miserable existence. It is a radical acceptance of the present moment exactly as it is, without demanding that it be more entertaining, more glamorous, or more novel. To love your fate is to look at the repetitive cycle of your day and say, "This is mine. This commute, this desk, this quiet evening in a quiet room." By accepting the structure of your life, you stop wasting your energy resisting it. You stop waiting for a rescue ship that is never coming. And in that acceptance, a strange and profound freedom begins to emerge. The resistance is exhausting. We spend so much time fighting the feeling of being trapped that we fail to notice the door has been unlocked the entire time. We complain about the monotony, yet when a sudden disruption occurs, a power outage, a canceled plan, a sudden illness, we panic. We scramble to get back to the very routine we were just cursing. This reveals a hard truth about human nature. We do not actually want to break the routine. We are terrified of the void that exists outside of it. If you did not have to wake up and perform your daily tasks, who would you be? Without the structure of your repetitive cycle, you would be forced to face the vast silent emptiness of your own mind. The routine is a shield against that silence. So the goal is not to detonate your life. You do not need to quit your job, move to a cabin in the woods, or abandon your responsibilities to find meaning. The solution to the feeling of endless looping is not to change what you are doing. The solution is to change how you are doing it. You must bring the full force of your attention to the mundane. Imagine walking down the same street you have walked 1,000 times. If you are lost in thought, the street is just a blur of concrete and passing cars, a transitionary space. But if you stop and actually look, you will see the cracks in the pavement, the specific way the light hits the glass of a storefront, the faces of the people passing by. The street has not changed. Your capacity to witness it has. There is a deep, quiet power in simply doing the next necessary thing. Washing the dish, folding the fabric, turning the key in the ignition. Not as a hurdle to jump over, but as the destination itself. When you transform a mindless habit into a sacred ritual, you reclaim your time from the void. You are no longer a victim of the clock endlessly circling the drain of the week. You become a participant in the rhythm of existence. The repetition stops being a cage and becomes a meaningful foundation, a stable ground from which you can actually experience the depth of the world. Think again of the myth of Sisyphus. Ancient wisdom and modern existential thought both converge on a single radical conclusion. We must imagine the man happy. Why? Because the struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a human heart. The meaningful reality is not in getting the boulder to stay at the top. The meaning is in the pushing. The meaning is in the feeling of the rough stone against his hands, the strain of his muscles, the undeniable reality of his own existence in that very moment. We are all pushing boulders, every single one of us. Across cities, across continents, billions of human beings wake up, perform their tasks, and go to sleep only to do it again. It is the great equalizer, the grand turning wheel of human life. You are not alone in the loop. You are participating in the oldest rhythm of our species, the rising and the setting of the sun, the beating of the heart. The next time you feel that heavy, familiar dread creeping in, the sense that you are just a cog in a machine, endlessly spinning through another identical day, pause. Do not try to escape the feeling. Do not reach for a distraction to numb it. Let the realization wash over you. You are here. You are alive. And this ordinary, repetitive moment is entirely yours to inhabit. The cycle will continue. The laundry will pile up. The morning alarm will sound, the seasons will turn, but you do not have to sleepwalk through it anymore. You can choose to wake up inside the loop. You can choose to find the texture, the depth, and the quiet beauty that exists right here beneath the surface of your everyday life.